This is the next recipe in the Guerrilla Cooking series. Now for this one, it's a modification to a recipe from a cookbook that was published in the 1980s. You could still get it cheap up into the 90s for like $5 a piece. Now if you look for a printed copy of this cookbook, you're going to be spending about $20 minimum. That cookbook was the Canteen Cup Cookbook. What it was written back during that transition period from C rations to MREs, with those initial runs of MREs and obviously some C ration stuff. It was how to take those individual rations and improve them in the field using basic items. One of the recipes from that was creamy Korean beef and noodles. All it what called for was a cream beef packet from the first model of MREs and a package of ramen noodles. You mixed them together, added some seasoning, and it was pretty good. I made it when I could. By the time I was in, you couldn't get cream beef MREs anymore, but you could kind of make your own using a can of creamed soup of some type, like cream of mushroom or cream of chicken. But I started thinking about this. Let's do a little revival on this one, but with items that a guerrilla could carry with them or potentially have in a cache. So we have here spicy, creamy noodles. What you're going to need: 1 packet of ramen noodles, some water. You're going to need some fat, like some butter or some bacon fat. You're going to need some flour, and then seasoning. If you're going to go the spicy route, you could use red pepper flakes or cayenne pepper. You could add other things in there like garlic powder, salt, pepper, whatever you want to get it to your tastes, your flavor. So we're going to be using, instead of a canteen cup, we're going to be using my East German mess kit again. So what I do in order to get them easier to get out, bust my ramen noodles into 4 chunks. Take whatever type of ramen you want to use. I'm just using beef on this. You could use the Shin ramen, the actual Korean ramen, which is a spicier ramen. You could use pork, shrimp, chicken, spicy chicken, whatever you so choose or whatever you get a hold of. Add in the beef bouillon packet. Use some water. Here, we'll make it simple. About a pint of water. Get this turned on. Now, we're going to let the noodles cook a bit and soften. Now, if you want to add some meat to it, you can add it. Add in some cut up beef jerky, cut up beef stick, maybe beef and cheese stick. If you do beef and cheese, I'd say toss in the beef stick in, cook it with the ramen. Save the cheese till towards the end, cut it up, add it in there after you make it creamy so that you got little chunks of cheese in there. I got a beef stick I cut up. We're going to put that in there. Try to find that sweet spot on the burner. It has been a couple months since I did a recipe. And the reason for that has been pretty simple. I've been busy. Now, just to get it started, and we'll toss it on there when the time's right. We're going to make a roux. I'm using the recipe that we got from the pickle soup recipe, and also what we used in the sauerkraut soup recipe. So for that, I'm going to need the lid for my mess kit to be my fry pan. And remember, it's 2 servings of flour for every 1 serving of fats. And I'm going to be using bacon fat. And I'm going to need about 2 tablespoons worth. Which will be about that much, give or take. So about 2 tablespoons of fat, and I have here 4 tablespoons of white flour. Once we get into a good boil on the noodles, then I'm going to start heating up the fat and slowly start adding in the flour, stirring it as much as possible to make a roux. Once ramen noodles start boiling, they do not take long. Now, have I tried this particular method for doing this recipe? No. Have I done spicy, creamy noodles myself? Yes, I have, and when I typically do it, I do up 1 package of ramen noodles. Once it's starting to get soft, then I open up a can of, say, cream of chicken or cream of mushroom, pour it in there, no additional water, stir it up, and then season accordingly, and then that will fill you up. It will give you enough calories for about 2 meals worth from a day estimated. Usually I have it after I get back from work and I haven't eaten much that day, and I'm really hungry. Then maybe if I got the materials, I'll go through and do this on my stove. Once it starts boiling, it's going to go quick. But just got to get that right spot again on the burner to get it boiling. I'll put for right now, I'm just going to put the fat relatively close to the heat so it can start melting just a little bit. Off of the residual heat. Now, if anyone asks me what the nutrition information is on this, ain't got a clue. All I know is I can do 1 batch of this and it definitely fills me up. You can add whatever you want to into this, whatever you have available. If you want to add a small can of veggies into here, make it a vegetarian version, go ahead. You want to do this with more meat, go ahead. Use whatever you have available. This is just another method of doing ramen noodles to add to your repertoire in the field. And it doesn't take a lot of ingredients. While I was waiting for a combat cameraman to show up, I just did a quick search on, is there any recipes like this online? And yes, I came across a few, and they're predominantly, no surprise, college students doing this to extend out or change up their normal super cheap meal when they're up in the dorms. And then I also came across some people that were doing them super fancy, where they were literally making cream sauces using multiple spices, you know, and just the right type of cream and all that stuff, you know, to make it a super fancy deluxe Asian meal, you know, quote unquote on a budget. But if you go by their budget, they obviously have a lot higher budget than most of us with the ingredients I was seeing mentioned. Normally when I do ramen noodles over a campfire in the field, it does not take long. I haven't done it yet in the field with this mess kit, but I've done it using canteen cups. Okay, that looks like it's starting to soften up pretty good. So let's start in on our roux. Remember, when you're dealing with fats in an open fire, be really careful, because the chance of an actual fire inside your pan goes up. In case anyone's wondering how I get my bacon fat, I'll do a package of bacon, and then when I got it all done, I take the liquid fat from the pan, don't fry anything else in there, and then I pour it into a funnel into my jar, let it cool slowly. Let it cool slowly inside the jar before putting it in the fridge. I don't want to put it directly into the fridge because you run the risk of shattering the jar. Bacon fat really does not need to be refrigerated. I remember my grandmother grew up back during the depression and all that. She used to keep her bacon grease inside one of the old glass Miracle Whip jars or mayo jars, and she kept it sitting on top of her pantry cabinet. Whenever she needed some, she just pulled down the jar, scooped out what she needed, and then closed it back up. Save it for next time, and she replenished it whenever she made bacon for her and Grandpa. She didn't strain it or anything like that. She just poured it straight into the jar, and that's basically what I'm copying what I do. Let that thicken up a little more. Check my noodles. Just let my roux kind of thicken a little bit before I put it in. I put in a little bit too much fat. Neat thing about bacon fat, it does kind of evaporate or burn itself off a little bit, so it won't take too long to get down to a little bit thicker consistency. And then I'll add it into my noodles. We'll turn the heat down now. Now I can see it's starting to thicken up a little bit. I'm going to let it boil down a little bit more before I start seasoning it. Remember, when you're thickening stuff, try to get around the edges of your mess kit or your little pot or canteen cup, whatever you're using, so you don't get stuff that will burn in there. I think now I'm going to start adding some seasoning, and I'm going to add in some garlic powder. Say about a teaspoon's worth. And I'm going to add in about a teaspoon's worth of cayenne pepper. And I do have some salt and pepper here too, in case IR Combat Cameraman decide we want that in the noodles. As you can see, it's thickening up really good. Just get ready there. I think we can turn the heat off now and just let the residual heat finish stuff off for us. Okay, apparently I'm going to have to use my fork to get some of the noodles out. trying to estimate about half of a packet of ramen. But there you go. Spicy, creamy ramen noodles. Pass that to Combat Cameraman. Not too bad. For mine, I'm going to add some salt. Not much. And a little bit of black pepper. You want any salt or pepper? Not bad. I think it's pretty good. Just got to figure out the exact amount of cayenne to put in to make it spicy. What about you, Combat Cameraman? We got thumbs up. So here you go. A method for improving your ramen noodles. Not that many ingredients. 1 packet of ramen noodles, water, like you would if you're doing normals noodly, usually. Make it creamy. Add in 2 tablespoons of fat, 4 tablespoons of flour, so it's 1 serving fat, 2 servings flour for the ratio. And then add whatever seasoning and spicings you so choose to get the concoction the way you want. If you want to add veggies, you want to add meat, want to add cheese, whatever you so choose, go ahead. Like I recommended, wait till near the end before you put in the cheese so it doesn't totally melt down and disperse through your cream sauce, so that you have, you know, at least some small little pieces of cheese in there. So pretty simple. You can cut the ingredients down as you want to do inside a canteen cup pretty easily, I think. I did a little bit bigger batch here so that I could give some to Combat Cameraman. Both of us give it a thumbs up. So there you go. Spicy, creamy ramen noodles. Now for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essay ons.